Hello and welcome to my humble little corner of internet real estate. I'm the Sumerian. And today we're going to jump into mega corporation Amazon's first foray into the gaming world. New world. Today's going to be a first thoughts and impressions video rather than a full review, as I believe it's a little disingenuous to review an MMO after only 30 hours of gameplay. Typically, MMOs get a lot better at endgame. There's also a fair amount of game mechanics that I haven't seen yet just because I haven't been able to play it that much since launch day. I also didn't get a chance to play it both times it was in the open beta on Steam. But I do feel that I have enough information to give you a pretty good idea of what you can expect, at least up until level 20 in the 30 hours that I've played it. Also, in case you haven't heard, there are reports of thousands of people waiting ridiculously long times queued up to get into the servers. This seems to be happening across the board, and it doesn't seem to be affected by region. So be wary when you purchase this, because I'm not sure if Steam's going to give you a difficult time getting your money back if you've been sitting for 2 hours in a wait queue, unable to even play the game anyways. I personally didn't have a single issue logging in, and I was actually confused when I saw the mixed reviews on Steam. So I can't speak to that particular issue, but I totally can sympathize with people that paid $40 for a game and they couldn't even play it. So Steam absolutely should give their money back, no questions asked, as they did not deliver a product as advertised. So people are pissed off already, and they have a right to be because they paid $40 and they didn't get a product that Amazon promised them. I'm not sure if it's my region or what, but I didn't have a single login issue, not one. So with that out of the way, this video is simply going to be my thoughts and my initial reactions during the first 30 hours of gameplay. What they did well, and what I think needs work. I can already tell you what needs work. You can't name your character Jeff Bezos. And that is Poppycock. How much you want to bet that you can buy Jeff Bezos' name in the cash shop? Yes, this game is not subscription based, but it does intend to reap its money through a cash shop and microtransactions.
Oh my God!
It's like choose your poison in 2021. Anyways, let's get into New World. You awaken washed ashore after a seafaring crash to the world of Aeternum. It takes place in a kind of magic-infused colonial era. You'll see muskets, pirates, pirate ships, architecture, and all the things that you would expect to see during the exploration era of the 17th century. The tenants of the island are stuck there via a mysterious force, and when people die, they simply come back time and time again. 17th century Groundhog Day with magic, if you will. This magic comes in the form of Azoth, which grants supernatural powers and keeps people immortal, essentially. It's also used as a currency. The enemies you encounter besides other warring faction members and PvP flags within the game are in the form of the Corrupted. Apparently, the ancients of the lands performed experiments that failed and led to the corrupted beings you see in Aeternum. The Corrupted seek to take over and rule the land. They enter the realm via corrupted portals, very similar to the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Gates and the Daedric army that marches through those. So the story so far is kind of generic and nothing really stands out, but I do actually enjoy reading the little lore notes, as they are pretty well written for the most part. The only problem is that the enemies are constantly beating the crap out of you while you're trying to read these notes. One thing that I really do enjoy in this game is the colonial setting. It's just unique and I haven't seen it really in an MMO before. In your menu, you have Company, Map, Journal, Character, Store, Settings, and Game menu tabs respectively. Your Company menu displays information on your current social company or your guild. It tells you which members are online, the ranks within the company, and the authority each title grants. The Siege window displays information on the critical times that your members will need to defend the territory in order to keep it under your occupation, if another company has declared war on you. The Treasury displays how much money your company has in its coffers. The company leader can dictate what this money is used for and what upgrades can and will need to be purchased. The leader will also be able to purchase the settlement. This is a huge amount of coins that usually requires lots of players to pull together in order to purchase. When you own a settlement, you accrue tax revenue and the percentage is dictated by the leader. Imposing too high of taxes will result in people leaving your settlement to craft and trade elsewhere, so a delicate balance must be made. You also get discounts on fast travel and taxes on your own home. Also, you get multiple faction rewards. and perks within the settlement. Your company can upgrade and complete town projects for the settlement, like upgrading the smelters or the loom, for example. This is necessary to do higher tier crafts. In your map menu, you'll have 5 tabs: Objectives, Upcoming Wars, Resource Locations, Territory Standing, and a Filter tab. Territory Standing grants perks in each territory, which is a neat idea. You get this by completing quests and killing enemies, and doing turn-in quests via the project board. The project boards are running quest boards supplying you with tasks to gain rewards and XP throughout the settlement. You also have a town hall where you can view territory progression. A war room, essentially. The town upkeep quests typically consist of gathering and crafting, or going and hunting animals out in the wild. Each one of these will give you territory standing, experience, and also money. On the territory plan, you can do 3 different upgrades. Lifestyle, which gives gathering, crafting, and combat buffs. You also have fort upgrades, which allow you to bolster your defenses using ballistas, burning oil, better gates, etc. When you upgrade your town, it'll improve the crafting forges, looms, smelters, and whatnot. It goes from hamlet all the way up to capital city. As I said before, it's necessary for these things to be upgraded for you to continue your crafting cycles. For instance, gold can't be smelted in anything less than a tier 4 smelter. In your journal, you'll find all the info you need on all your quests, your main quests, your faction quests, and your side quests. Also, whatever documents you pick up on your journey. These documents help tell the story of the citizens, and they're well written for the most part, sometimes even full of amazing anecdotes. In your character menu, you'll find your bio, attributes, weapon mastery, trade skills, and your achievements. There's also a store. There's an absolute ton of settings, including keybinds, communications, visual, all kinds of audio settings, FOV slider, everything. You name it, it's pretty much on here. In the tab menu, you'll find all of your gear, inventory, gathering tools, food and medicine, and everything else you may need while you're out in the field. You'll also see your gear score, your stats, your elemental resistances, and whatever skins you may have. You can also repair your gear here by salvaging old weapons. Your gold, repair parts, and your Azoth, which you'll need to fast travel, is also displayed here as well. You can also craft gems and attach them to amulets, or you can attach them to your armor to give yourself buffs. Currently, there are 10 crafting stations, each of which will require materials for you to perform each synthesis. The materials required will be found by gathering or hunting. The crafting system is simple and intuitive, and the menus are easy to navigate. It's really easy to get started. There isn't a steep learning curve to this at all. There are also 5 gathering skills that will level up as you perform them. Fishing, harvesting, logging, tracking, skinning animals, and mining. As you use your tools, they'll acquire wear and tear, and you'll have to repair them using salvage parts, the same way that you do with your weapons and gear. What you can gather depends on your skill, and it can get really grindy, especially the logging. Harvesting seems to level up a lot faster. The game is essentially a crafting and gathering loop with combat and quests on the side. The core of the game is crafting and gathering, and for the most part it's done well. The amount of crafts and things that you can do is extensive, but there are issues. Things I'd like to see is crafting gear like in Final Fantasy XIV. You have fishing gear in this game, so why not crafting gear that would give you buffs? Also, I wish there were more lower tier materials that you could use. There's only a few types of wood in the game. Another issue with the crafting is that the stuff that you craft is almost always way below your level, because the crafts level much slower and gathering takes ages. I think this needs to be balanced better, so you can actually craft your own gear as you progress. Final Fantasy XIV did this perfectly. You can also buy a house and furnish it with your own crafts. Also, you can join a faction.
Join with me in
there are 3 main factions in New World. Marauders, which are basically mindless brutes who are always flexing. The Covenant, which are Templars, basically crusaders and religious fanatics. And the Syndicate, which is basically a bunch of scumbags. Your faction will give you quests, and the quests will result in experience, tokens, influence, and money. You can use these tokens to get really nice gear and also materials. The entire economy is player driven, as I have yet to see a single merchant, and as far as I know, there aren't plans to introduce any. You buy and sell items via the trading post in each settlement. Also, anything you put up for auction, the money goes directly to your wallet, and you get a little bit of a notification, but this is easy to miss. I do not like this, as I'm constantly wondering if I ever got my money for something. And then you look and, okay, the money's there, but I'd rather just be able to collect it. The combat is pretty basic, and unlike most MMOs, it's free targeting as opposed to tab targeting systems. This allows you to rely more on skill and accuracy as opposed to memorizing rotations. The combat is fun at first, but it does seem to get rather boring. The enemy moves are rather predictable and it becomes tiresome. I often find myself avoiding enemies altogether as they yield virtually no XP. Most XP is gained through quests and faction missions. The bore in the combat stems from the fact that you can only have 3 active abilities. This is something I really see becoming a problem later in the game. I really wish you had more options, as you often just dodge, run, and wait for cooldowns all the time. Being that it's predominantly focused on PvP, this really isn't surprising. I just think that players looking for PvE are going to come up empty in this game. A lot of the enemies just come at you full front, and you can just sidestep them and cheese them all the way. It'd be nice to see more damage over time, more area of effect spells from them, more tactics utilized by the enemies. A lot of the enemies only have one special move. It'd be nice if they had like a series of different special moves, different timers, things that you have to watch out for. It just seems very straightforward. It seems like they could have done so much more with the enemies in this game. Now, I understand that it's geared towards PvP, but if there's a PvE element, then I would just say that they should have just kept it PvP and not even bothered with the PvE element and satisfied at least one demographic of the fan base. You have light attacks which stack to a combo, and a heavy charge-up attack which can break shields. There is some skill and tact involved, utilizing dodge and movement mechanics as well as ranged attacks, but I really think it needs a few more active abilities. You also have ranged attacks in the form of muskets and bows and staff spells. In the abilities tab, you'll see active abilities which you can set to a hotkey, and you also have passive traits which are active all the time. It'll be interesting to see how this is implemented in the dungeons. As it stands, there are 6 expeditions that you can go on with other players. This consists of a 5-person group utilizing 3 DPS, a tank, and a healer. Keep in mind that you can respec your stats if you choose to switch. This allows variety. There are currently no raids in the game, so endgame is really a big question mark for me right now. The PvP wars are fun at first, but I can see this losing steam over time. It's just so many people running around spamming ranged attacks. One thing this game excels at is the graphics and the atmosphere. There are so many locations in this game that are truly stunning, and the art design is a sight to behold. The mountains, the canyons, the graveyards, and the distant oceans recessed behind the mountains truly make for a spectacular sight. The game is incredibly immersive, and I found myself losing the time whilst crafting and gathering. Typically a boring, mundane task that is greatly enhanced by the sound and environments. That leads me to my next topic, the sound. The sound is fantastic in this game, especially the muskets. They sound heavy and meaty as you would expect a musket to sound. The swords against the shields, the enemy sounds. All of these things are really well done, albeit the occasionally goofy sounding zombie chasing after you with a pitchfork. The voice actors are top notch for the most part, and it's refreshing that all the quest NPCs have a spoken dialogue.
We must keep this quiet.
The music
and
is simply
proceed
perfect for
carefully.
each environment, and it definitely feels very colonial era.
Hey, you know what? I've made a big decision. You are my new best friend. Seriously, anytime you like, drinks on me.
As I annotated earlier, be extremely cautious with your graphical settings and your FPS settings in this game. You can fry out your GPU, especially if you have an RTX 3090. There's been multiple reports of GPUs getting fried out from this game, even from changing the brightness settings. Be absolutely certain what your graphical settings are in this game. Overall, minus the graphics issues, the game is fun. I'm having a lot of fun crafting and gathering, and even the combat at times can be a lot of fun, especially with the PvP. The company elements, the taking over territories, the wars, the fortifications to the settlements, all of this is going to lead to a very interesting game in the future. Hopefully they'll have even more PvP options in the future, and hopefully they'll add some raids and a lot more dungeons for us to all participate in together. If you like crafting and gathering and PvP, then I'd say you're going to love this game. If you don't like PvP, then I would say wait for a while and maybe get it on sale, especially with all the queue problems that are going on right now. Be careful with your GPUs on this game as well. It's not worth $40 to lose a $2,000 graphics cards, my friend. Perhaps wait until they get all the bugs cleared out and you have no risk to your GPU whatsoever, and until the queue times are fixed and the server issues are resolved. Overall, I'm having a lot of fun with the game, but that's because I like the minutia of crafting and gathering, and I don't mind super grindy games. If you don't like super grindy games with emphasis on PvP, then you're probably not going to like this. If you do like PvP and grindy games, well, then you're going to love this. This game really is one of the most immersive MMOs I've ever played, so time will fly by when you play it. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I appreciate it for sticking around, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves and each other.